David, and this is the Wolf Builders YouTube channel, and we're currently working on a project in the far north, renovating this awesome beach house, alright? You can see that we're going to continue on with our new wall cladding system along here. We're going to start at that far end by installing our corner flashing system. Now, honestly, not going to lie to you, I've already attempted to put this on. And what I mean by attempted is I've come up with a freaking little issue already. This is out of level by like, out of plumb by, look at that. Let's get this stick plumb. It's going to be like 20 mil out of level. So unfortunately that brings its own little issues, but we're not going to hit that just yet. Another little issue I've come across is, look at this. I've got a 12 mil gap between my bottom plate and the bottom of my boundary. Now I'm not too sure how I didn't pick that up in the first place, but what my thoughts are is this is the original dwelling. Right here is the original build that was on the house. This section through here was an extension. So I've sort of made my way up to this point, and all that is pretty straight, which is really nice, but through here it doesn't line up. So I'm going to do what I did in a previous episode, use my level to get points every 600 like this, and measure exactly the distance between the level and the batten. And once I've done that, I'm going to transfer that to a piece of 4x2 and get it and rip it up so it matches what needs to happen along this point right here. And then we'll have to resolve the outer level, the outer plumb corner, which I'll think about while I'm ripping this up. I'm going to stop my ripping short on this piece of timber. The reason being is right at the very end. So I'm actually going to cut my ripping short just to about right here for the meantime. The reason being is so I'm actually going to cut my ripping short. So I'm going to cut my ripping short on this length right here, and the reason being is there's a big issues with that. With the batten itself. Alright, few things to take note when you're doing rippings and stuff like that is the straightness of the timber. Now it doesn't matter all the way through here too. I'm going to stop my ripping short on this piece of timber. The reason being is right at the very end we've got this knot, and the timber actually kicks out like this quite a fair way. You can see that gap in between the level and the timber. That's going to affect my overall ripping size. So what I'm going to do is chop it off and just add a piece in to make sure that my ripping is perfect. That's beautiful. So I got it nice and straight. So I got that bottom batten nice and straight now and in plane with the wall. That's the big one, is keeping it in plane, especially when things are out of plumb. So now I can go through and I can actually work on this corner here, get that set up, so I can keep moving forward. Alright, so I'm going to try something slightly different this time with the external corner flashing, the female part of it. Normally what I've been doing is just sticking this in and then sort of working out exactly how much to check out of our termination our termination flashing, which sits at the top. So this is the top of the head flashing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the actual corner flashing slightly. You can sort of see what I've done there, and that way when I go to put termination detail in, it sits and butts straight into it like this. I don't know if you guys can sort of see that, and that way I'm not fluffing around trying to get this corner right really nice. It's just going to hit that, and that's going to be the perfect spot for it. The reason that this has to lap over the top of this corner flashing is because when we go put the male version on over the top, it needs to line up right at this point right here, so there's a flush detail. Hopefully that works. Alright, I'm going to finish off the meter box now. So just do it pretty much exactly the same as the windows. We're going to put our back flashing behind the head flashing. Slice that little bit out right there that sits behind the head. Oh, typical. When I set the head flashing in, I just marked the tops, the sides, and also the front edge of this. I just put some sealant there, and I'm hoping that it sort of just pushes up against the back edge of this flange here, just for an extra layer of protection. Oh, and don't nail right where the power cord is. You imagine it? What's happening is the head flashing is lifting just ever so slightly. The silicone is still adhered all the way along, but I'm just going to try and maybe put a couple of, I don't know, blocks on just like this, just while the sealant goes off, and hopefully it sort of holds it down a little bit more. Yeah, that's a bit better. Sweet. Just do the batten underneath, and then that's that section ready. Continue through. Alright, we're back on site this morning, and we're going to start ripping into some cladding. Got everything all sorted. Yesterday was a bit of a slow day for me. I don't know why. I just maybe not enough sleep or whatever happened, but let's just see if this head flashing comes out. Oh yeah, look at that. The move. That is what we're after. It's going to rip in, yeah. So like I said, just going to rip in through some cladding this morning. We're going to come up over this gable end. I want to try and get to the far end by the end of the day. Be a bit of fun. Same old stuff, eh? Same old stuff. Right, while I'm coming through installing these boards, I'm making sure that they're able to move up and down in their place, because when they heat up, they're going to expand and contract as the temperature moves up and down. So this is like the north facing side, which is going to collect a lot of heat during the summer and even nice winter days. So I'm not tightening the clips super hard, still clamped in, but also free enough to move the board. If I loosen the clip off too much, then there might be a potential for it to flutter in the wind. So firm, but not super firm. Woo! Look at that! Covers by 5mm. Absolutely smashed it, look! Got to the end and I still got time to spare, so I'm going to come over here and just get things... Sorry, the wind's blowing hard. Get things sorted, ready to rock and roll for this side tomorrow. Bit of fun in the sun, I think. That's what it's going to be. Fun in the sun. Alright, let's see how this is drying out. Forgot about this. Not forgot about it, but... Woo! Way drier. Mean. The old girl. Gonna have to get the old moisture reader on that. But I think that's gonna be it for today. Managed to get the base channel in through here. That was pretty difficult. What I did was I had a packer that sort of sat flush with the top of the batten and then there as well. And then just used that to guide myself along. But yeah. Alright, we're back on site this morning and the first job we need to do is put our termination channel in behind our roof edge flashing. Now we need at least 50mm cover up behind the roof edge flashing, which is going to make things quite difficult to get our termination capping in there. You can see this is sort of the profile, kind of clips in like this and then clips like that. So we need at least 50mm cover up and behind this flashing, which is going to be, I'm just going to do a tester and see if it's actually possible. Otherwise this is a bit of a bust up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually probably push that so it sort of sits hard at the top of the kick out part of the flashing there. Ow! Don't do that. And then I guess I got to try and maybe wedge open this. Reckon. Oh yeah? It's hard to see because there's a frickin' flashing in the way, but that actually works. But nailing this is going to be very difficult, so I might have to screw it. Yeah, I think I'm going to screw it. And I actually kind of like that because you don't actually get to see termination cap. You can imagine if I had the termination cap here and I put it on completely straight, the flashing may have a couple of ups and downs in it, and you might be able to reference the straight line with the up and down line. So if I'm able to get that termination cap up above there, that way it's going to be super hard to see if there's any inconsistencies in that flashing. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on now and just do it diligently because I just damaged the flashing right there, which is really annoying. So now all I'm doing is I'm just using these 2 points right here that I've got. I'm lining the bottom of my flashing up with this line through here, and then I'm just going to do that all the way along. That way I'm following that line. whatever, just put something in, bro. And yeah. It's time to get the Fudge Master gloves on, alright? Let's fudge this corner. So remember yesterday that our corner was out of plum. It's actually not so bad now because of what I did, but it's probably about 10 mil out of plum from top to bottom. Now there's not a lot that we could have done with that, so we need to figure out how to fudge that 10 mil difference, because of course our boards need to be plum. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start this run with a big wide pan board like this, and what that's going to do is that's going to decrease the likelihood that anyone is going to be able to line up the plumb edge of the board with the corner. It's going to bring that line as far away from the corner as possible. I've also got this post and all that sort of stuff in the way, so it's going to be very hard to tell. And that's sort of the way I'm going to mitigate that 10 mil difference between the plumb line. So honestly, no one's ever going to be able to pick it, but now that I've said it, clients are going to know that it's there. But it is what it is. You can't do too much about it. So I'll just stick the board up in. What's happening is I'm working with the 9mm packet that I've got to use for a fixing point when I screw this board off on this edge, and I've also got my 15mm foam tape that's sitting there, so quite a tight little corner, but we should be able to get it. There we go. Beautiful. Easy peasy, like that. Beautiful. I can go through and mass cut all the boards I need for along this run, because it's all the same. Ready to frickin' smash it! Woo! Look at that. Chopped a whole bunch up. I've left 3 full packs down there, one of each board, and the reason I sort of chopped them up like this is so I could see how many board lengths I've got of each one. So I've got 7 full ones, I've got 8 70 130s, and then I've got 9 100 100. So that way I can pick and choose what boards go up and use a couple of extra ones where needs be. So let's frickin' rip into it. Yeah. When things go wrong, it's easy to sing a sad song. Seems like nothing comes for free. Yeah. And it won't take long. Your fragile soul will soon be strong. I'll carry you. Right, I don't know how far that time lapse got yesterday, but I worked a little late down to get the cladding complete. The time has come to install the last piece. Woo! The last piece of cladding. It's gonna go up. Down. Spin it around. Just filled the holes that I stuffed up with a bit of silicone. That's it. Time to start on the external corners. What do you reckon? Heck yeah, David! Let's do it. Wow, what a freaking cool process. Haven't quite finished, but what an amazing product. I'm super stoked. Easy peasy to install. You get a little bit overwhelmed with all the flashings and stuff in the first place, but once you get it, you get it. I got my countersink bit here and I'm just gonna line it up and when it starts making that screeching noise, it's the perfect spot to stop.
What I wanna say is that I stand by you when you're falling, when the river is calling. I said I love you forever. We can make it together.
So the internal corners are the same but different. We use the external cap flashing on the external corner to go internally, and then the internal part of the external corner clips into it like this, if that makes sense. So I've actually got that all set up, and I'm just gonna this is the first and only one, so hopefully it just pops in. Alright, so these little plastic loofies weren't bloody working, so I'm just going to use this. Hopefully it doesn't damage it. There we go. Oh yeah. Woo! Alright, I think I'm going to wrap the day up here. Look, the rain is coming. Bang on 4:30, so I'll see you guys in the morning. Woo, we're back on site this morning. Sorry if the audio's really crap because my freaking mic cucked itself and I'm in the middle of nowhere and I can't really go and grab another one. I'm right next to the mountain. I got a mountain on this side too, look. But anyway, we're going to start with our window trims, okay? So they pretty much clip in like this and around and clip on, boom, and that makes that done. Finishes it off. So I think I'm going to do the same system as I did with the jam, the base jam flashing. I'm going to measure the bottom, and then I'm going to add the thickness of my jam flashing here, which is 40mm. So I'm going to add 80, and then I'm going to minus the 4mm that I did on like I did last time, and see if that works out pretty well. And we'll just go from there. That is a lie. I've actually got to screw the side. I'm going to start by screwing the sides of the windows off at 600 centers, like I did with the corners. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to screw these three off and then put the jam flashing on.
Breaks my heart seeing you struggle with the things you do, carrying the one on your shoulder. When did we become so much older? Now I wish I could say that all my troubles gonna blow away, but I won't quit until it gets better.
I don't know if you can see that, but what I'm trying to do is line my internal corner point up with the internal corner of the jam flashing. Looks like I'm about 1 mil too long, to be honest, so trim that. So now the vertical pieces. Now I think I'm going to find it very hard to get my tape an accurate measurement up to that point up over here. So just cut a piece, an offcut at 200mm, and I'm just going to sort of ease it in there. Pretty much hook over the bottom, measure up to that. So I got 1903. So when I'm cutting the jam flashings, I'm always double checking my tip to tip. It does take a little bit longer, but for some reason, yeah, get 1 or 2 mil out and it's just, you got to come back and cut it. So not that we probably have to do that anyway. And then with my miters, what I'm doing, this is a backwards one, I'm actually back cutting the piece that isn't seen. That way I can get the front face of my miter to sit nice and tight like this. What I was finding is the back edge of the miter, let's just say that's like that, this point right here was hitting and then it was splaying the miter open. So just back cut the miter and it sits way nicer. Now, sorry about the wind, the frickin' mic's gone. These are actually really difficult to get back out once they're in, but you get these kind of little tools, you could call them, and the way it you sort of pull it out is that you just got to sort of slide in. Well, in this case, we might be able to. Very difficult actually, and that's what I'm saying, very difficult. Pop it in underneath there like that, and there it is. Just pop it out, just like that. It still won't come out when it's like this, so you've got to get the tool, you've got to bang it in the top part right here like this, then it should pop out. Boom. Don't know if you guys captured all that, but yeah, once you get it, you get it, if you know what I mean. Now you see, in this situation, this is the only situation through the whole house where I've had to put this little infill in. You can see at the bottom here where my miter ends, it lands right on the groove. I think I did pretty well. This is something that we wanted to try and avoid. So this is the only spot. You can sort of see up the top there, I thought it'd be nice to finish the infill flush with the top of our base flashing, just so it keeps that continuity all the way around. I also gave up on the 200mm trick. It's actually more accurate to hold your tape in and measure from there. 1180. Woo! Can hardly even see that bad boy. All right, team. Well, that's pretty much going to conclude cladding. We still have to do all our termination termination detail caps all the way along through here, but I'm going to wait for Fabian to come back up to do all that, and of course we're going to do this. But I'm going to head back down to Auckland, catch up with the family, and I'll catch you on the next one, eh? How epic is that? That's just crazy. That is stunning. Woo! What an epic product. I think in the next video I'm going to do a bit of pros and cons. Maybe not so much pros and cons, or what I'll do differently next time, I think. Not a lot, but there's a few things. So anyway, we'll catch you on the next one, eh? Peace! Look at the mountain!